Folks, we're going to get back to court in just a moment, but first, joining me this hour to discuss is national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday. Want to get your thoughts on how the defense is doing thus far. The themes are clear. They're really harping on this fact that the state has to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. Sometimes that means you think your case is a little weak, but it is the ace in the hole for the defense. And they also have somebody else they're pointing the finger at, and of course that's Devier Willett, the son of the victim in this case. How's it going for them so far?
I agree with you that they're playing the ace in the hole. We saw Draskevich try a case in your earlier block. You mentioned the Robert Teller's case. We saw him try a case with almost insurmountable odds, and he got close to an acquittal. Right? He gave the jury a lot to think about. They were out for a long time in a case that I had thought was a no-brainer, was a slam dunk for the state, and he gave them a lot to think about with his powerful closing argument. I think he's trying to do the same thing here. I think he's throwing everything he's got at the board. I think that if this woman has any shot at any acquittal or any reduction, it would only be because of the amazing advocacy by Draskevich. But they're throwing everything they can. They really don't have much else. They don't have really a good third-party theory, a serviceable one. So I think he's doing everything he can. I think that it's a fait accompli. I think she's going to get convicted. But Draskevich is a very talented attorney.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And, you know, one of the things that sort of highlighted the difficulty of pointing the finger at Devier is we know all the digital evidence and the video kind of shows his car never leaves, or his truck never leaves the home that he's in. The phone never seems to leave. And Draskevich mentioned that he said, look, there's a camera on the entrance to the place where they live, and you don't see him leaving that way. He says, well, there's another way to get out. He could have gotten out and climbed over a fence. But we also know that it's a pretty long distance to get to that house. He's a young guy. But again, that really highlighted for me the difficulty he's going to have convincing these jurors that this other kid might be responsible. Because as much as he wants to tell them, you don't have to believe it to acquit her, I think they kind of do once he makes that claim.
The jury is comprised of human beings, not robots. They're sitting in the jury room. The conversation between them, and once the closing arguments are done, when they're in the jury deliberation room, is there's just no possible way anybody else would have done it other than her. And this third-party theory is a stretch. He's reaching, just like we're analyzing it right now as it's a reach, because as attorneys, we know this is what he has to do. What else is he going to do? He's not going to stand up on the closing argument and say, yeah, he probably didn't do it. It's probably my client. He has to do exactly what he's doing. To anybody who says, and my biggest pet peeve, Michael, is when people say, I need a pit bull to go into that courtroom. That's my biggest pet peeve. What I tell them is you need somebody who's soft-spoken and who people can trust. Somebody exactly like Draskevich. The way he handled the third-party theory, the way he's handling the doubt that he wants the jury to believe about his client, that's A+ advocacy on his part. Whether it's a tough one, I'm with you. I think this third-party theory is bogus.
All right. Mike, stand by. I want to take folks back into court now for more of Draskevich's closing argument as we continue to monitor jury deliberations as well. So keep it here on Court TV. Unless the governor steps in and commutes his sentence, he's gone forever at this point. Let's bring back in national trial attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael Jaafar, your reaction. It was mandatory. It was a first-degree murder conviction along with a couple of other things, as you heard, laid out by the judge. But he really wanted to make sure to highlight some of the real heinousness of this crime. Particularly, you know, this was a young lady who had some developmental issues. And, you know, they planned this thing out. They pick her up. She had no idea what was going on. And it was just a particularly ugly crime.
You mentioned the amount of time he's going away. This kid is 19, 20 years old. People who are alive to know, were there when JFK was assassinated. The amount of time that JFK was assassinated till today, this kid will be in jail longer if he lives into his 80s. So he's going away for a long time. I just think we go a little bit too far in our country with these video game number sentences. It was grotesque. I hope her family don't hear me say what I'm about to say, but I just feel like it's just too far. Because he was not the axe man. He definitely, the jury got it right. I just think Iowa law is a little bit too extreme with situations like this.
All right, Mike, I'm with you on kind of some of the draconian sentences in this country, but I will say this, in this particular case, again, the heinousness of the crime, the fact that she was developmentally disabled on some level, the prosecutors made the point in their closing argument that the killer, her boyfriend, Luisma, couldn't have done this without the help of this guy. So you got that aspect of it, right? Then there's this whole planning aspect. He's all involved in that. Really doesn't have a whole lot to do with this thing, but he's more than happy to go along with the planning of this, the helping. Apparently he helped tie her up. And then, Mike, here's the worst part. Tells me a little bit about who this kid might be and the character of this young man. He has a memento, which is her glasses, which he doesn't keep in his place. You know what he does? He puts it on and he goes on socials and kind of celebrates with it, Mike. So in this particular instance, while he was an accomplice, I'm okay with the sentence.
I'm okay with it. I'll tell you why. You said about her developmental disability. When they were showing pictures of her, I find myself looking away because I don't want to ruin my weekend. Like, it really is depressing to see that they did it to this girl, because I know kids who are developmentally disabled. She was lured into a trap. So I'm with you. I just feel like, man, 19 years old, his prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. I feel like when he's 25 years old, when his brain stops to develop. Right now, a young man, 19, his brain is a raging storm. I just feel like, hey, 50 years, I'm with it all day. It's just, man, life without parole. For a 19-year-old guy, he made a devastating mistake. He should be punished for decades. Just, man, it's just a tragedy all the way, no matter what happens.
Hey, Mike, thank you so much for being with me tonight. Truly appreciate it.